If you're a homeowner looking to help with the housing crisis here in Nova Scotia and also help with your monthly mortgage payments, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to be explaining the backyard and secondary suites, what they are, and the new incentive program that allows you to borrow up to $40,000. And as long as you meet the criteria, that is a forgivable loan from the government of Nova Scotia. All right, welcome back to my channel. For those that are new here, thank you for joining. My name is Greg Pierce. I am a local real estate agent and investor based in the Halifax, Nova Scotia area. And as mentioned, I'm gonna be covering the backyard and secondary suite program. It is no surprise that there is a housing crisis here in Nova Scotia and across Canada in general. And this video is going to be covering how you can add some density to help with the problem, how you can potentially help with your mortgage payments by renting this unit out, and more importantly, how you can help some family members, whether those are your parents, grandparents, or even your kids. This is a great opportunity to get into this program, get a forgivable loan from the government, which I'm going to be covering today, and figure out more about what exactly is a backyard or secondary suite. Make sure you stay until the end because I'm going to be discussing all of the requirements and prerequisites in order to qualify for this $40,000 forgivable loan, meaning you don't have to pay it back. And if you prefer to have a one-on-one call, please click on the link in the description below. I'd love to book a time and you and I can chat one-on-one to answer any questions regarding this program or anything real estate related here in the Halifax area. All right, so before we get started, let's define the difference between a secondary suite and a backyard suite because they are different. A secondary suite is typically in the basement of a self-contained home. So this is typically a primary residence, although they can now be added to multi-unit buildings as long as it passes the code and requirements from HRM. And then backyard suites are self-contained buildings. They are typically in the backyard, per the name, backyard suite. They can be things like tiny homes, but they can also be on top of existing accessory buildings like garages, or they can be built that way as well. So a garage on the bottom and then a backyard suite on the top floor. This is very common and they are trying to alleviate some of the rules and regulations around these things to help with some of the density and increase some more housing because we are in a crisis. Now, with anything that is government regulated, there are some tight restrictions on this. However, it has been alleviated a little bit in recent past due to the Housing Accelerator Fund, which is a program from the federal government to help municipalities increase more housing. So the floor plan can be up to 1,000 square feet. Having said that, this does come down to the size of your home, where you live, the size of your lot, setbacks, and things like that. So other important regulations are that you are only allowed to have one backyard suite. However, you can have a secondary suite or a basement suite as well as a backyard suite. That would allow you to have 2 additional units on a single family home. So let's say you own a bungalow and you want to convert your basement into an apartment. You can also build, let's say, a tiny home in the back of your property and allow you to have 2 extra units, whether that's for rental income purposes and you're an investor, or you're looking to just offset the high cost of living right now, or you're looking to help out your family and have maybe 3 different generations in each of those units living on the same lot. That is becoming very prevalent and is a practical idea for how we can move forward in this housing crisis here in Nova Scotia. Now, obviously to do this, it is not cheap. I have experience with this myself and it is an expensive project. Converting a basement suite or a secondary suite is much cheaper than doing an accessory dwelling unit or a backyard suite. We're talking $200,000 to $300,000 to put one of those in your backyard because you have to run plumbing, electrical, you need a new water line. There's tons of things that go into this. Obviously, you need a new foundation. There are tons of structural requirements. It's basically like building a small home in your backyard. So there's an expensive thing to take on. However, the Nova Scotia government has tried to help out with offering $40,000 forgivable loan to help you with the construction of this. Now that $40,000 is limited up to 50% of your costs. So if your costs are only $60,000, they won't give you that full 40, they'll give you 50%, which would be $30,000 in this case. Now this $40,000 loan, you need to meet the criteria for it to be forgivable over a 5-year term. So that means you need to follow along and play by the rules for those first 5 years in order to qualify for this being a forgivable loan. Okay, so in order to qualify for this forgivable loan, you need to be a resident of Nova Scotia, you need to be living in your primary residence, your taxes need to be up to date, and you also need to be able to finance part of this construction. Now, as previously mentioned, you need to build a self-contained unit, whether it is a backyard suite or a secondary suite. This needs to have its own entrance, kitchen, bathroom, bedrooms, living space, and it needs to be a safe and comfortable environment for both you, if you're living in the primary residence, and your tenants. This is not meant to be something that's just thrown together in order to help with the housing. There are a number of hoops to jump through in order to make this happen. Yes, they are frustrating at times. However, we need to make sure that everybody is up to the standard and the code in order that there's a safe environment for the tenants and the people that are going to be living there. So there's a couple different options in terms of what qualifies you for the affordable loan part. There's the supportive side, which would be renting out to your family members, ideally over the age of 65 or people with disabilities. Or you can do the affordable side, which would be renting to tenants that live below the median income. And also it's going to be rented out for 20% below average market rent in that respective area. So obviously Halifax is going to be a little bit higher than some more rural areas, but that's all calculated by the government, meaning you can only rent up to that level. If you go beyond that, you do not qualify for the forgivable portion anymore, and you would not have that money forgiven by the government. So that's a really important criteria. And again, it's on a 5-year term. You need to abide by these rules and regulations in order to qualify over a 5-year period. So if this is something that you're interested in, whether you want to turn your property into a rental property and increase the density that way, if you're just looking to offset your mortgage or help out some family members, this is a great opportunity. And I want to walk you through the steps here. So number one, you need to first confirm with your municipality that your property conforms with zoning and you can build up to a certain size backyard suite. For example, you don't want to plan for a 1,000 square foot backyard suite. Talk to your contractor, get all that stuff finalized, and then find out that you're only approved for 450 square feet. So make sure you talk to zoning first and foremost. Number two, you're going to need financing for this. You do pay for this up front. You're going to be reimbursed after through the government. Then apply for a building permit specific to the type of suite you're looking for, whether that is a backyard suite or a secondary suite. Once approved, and then after the construction, you'll receive your forgivable loan upon obtaining an occupancy permit and submitting required documentation. Again, so very important to hammer home that this is not something where you're just going to be handed $40,000 from the government on the outset of this project. You're going to need to go through those stages, pay for it up front, potentially incur some interest costs depending on how you're paying for this, and then get that money back. And then last but not least, you're making sure that you're going through the either affordability program or the supportive program in order to make sure that it is a forgivable loan and you're not just getting the $40,000 that you do have to pay back, obviously. So for more information, go to the website. I'll list that in the description below. To get any extra details, let's set up a call. Again, the Calendly link below. I'd love to chat more about this program specifically or any of your real estate needs here in the Halifax area. This is a phenomenal program. I know there are some hoops to jump through and some red tape like any government initiative. Having said that, it is designed to help with housing, and you know, it's going to help on the rental side for family members also that maybe can't find a spot to live, but also to alleviate some of the pressure. If you're someone that's paying a really high mortgage rate and maybe you're not really using your basement, this is a great opportunity to convert that into an apartment, get a little bit of help with the mortgage payment, offset those costs, and also provide a really safe and comfortable living space for someone that, you know, otherwise couldn't find a place to rent. So it's a win-win situation all around. I do think this is a great time to look into this program. You never know how long these things last for. If you have any questions, reach out. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.